In episode 6, there's a big volleyball tournament that's being held, and it's a part of the debutante ball, but the volleyball tournament's really run by Susanna because it's for her charity. All the girls get broken up into teams of 2, they represent a charity, and if they win the whole thing, then their donations get doubled. And for Belly, that's a big deal. I mean, suddenly her competitive streak has come out big time. She is dead set on winning this whole thing, and her partner is going to be Taylor. But before the tournament, she wakes up, she showers, and as she's coming out, she runs into Jeremiah, and it's a little bit awkward. Because the previous night, she wasn't dreaming about Jeremiah, she was dreaming about his brother Conrad. They make general conversation, but eventually Jeremiah says, yeah, I do want to talk to you about what happened the other night. But, not now, obviously. And Belly is very okay with that. While Belly gets ready, Conrad heads to go work with Cleveland. And boy, is he on edge. At first, Cleveland definitely notices that Conrad's on edge. He mentions it, but Conrad doesn't calm down. Cleveland tries to talk him down from this, but Conrad gets more and more emotional until finally he has his first panic attack. And Cleveland recognizes it because he's had them before. When he does eventually settle down, Conrad reveals to Cleveland that he knows his mom's dying. He just doesn't know how to bring it up to her. That's the thing that's been eating at him this entire time. He wants to tell her, but he also knows that there's a reason why she hasn't told him and Jeremiah. So he figures that if he just keeps it inside and continues to play dumb, it'll keep her alive even longer. And Cleveland's advice to him is, Conrad, this isn't on you. If you say it out loud, it's not going to change things, because it's happening either way. But it's definitely not your fault, and you can't control it. When Conrad returns home that day, he definitely is in a much better, calmer mood. First person he sees is Belly getting ready for the tournament. He starts to make chit-chat with her. Belly kind of starts to blow him off until finally he apologizes for the other night. He admits to her that he remembered everything. He remembered almost kissing her, and in fact, he's been playing it over and over and over in his head. Belly says, I'm not sure quite what to say, and Conrad understands, and then he blurts out, can I take you to the ball? Now, this idea was originally put in his head by Susanna earlier that day. Belly doesn't have a date, and Susanna wanted to make sure she did have one, and it's evident to everybody that for the longest time, Conrad has been Belly's Prince Charming, so it would mean a lot to her. At least that's what Susanna thought. So she put in his head, hey, you need to ask Belly to the ball. And Conrad pushed back initially, but here he is, asking her to the ball. But Belly is so taken aback, she just says, I'll think about it. She gets a much welcome distraction when the doorbell rings and it's Taylor. And Taylor is definitely on Team Jeremiah. She's done with Conrad. So she's going to push Belly to hooking up with the younger brother. She definitely does not want Belly going to the ball with Conrad. Before Belly can decide, though, they have to head off to the tournament. Before the tournament does kick off, there is a bit of an awkward interaction with Taylor, Steven, Shayla. And it's cordial, but it is still very awkward because Taylor still has feelings for Steven. Shayla knows what she did. But Taylor seems to respect Steven and Shayla's relationship, and she tells Steven, you guys look cute together. And then she walks off to team up with her partner. While all the teams get ready, Conrad has to break the news to Nicole that he won't be going to the debutante ball with her. He used the excuse that his mom is forcing him to ask Belly, when in reality, he does want to actually go with Belly. But Nicole understands it is a tough situation that Belly currently finds herself in with no date. So she says, yeah, that's fine. A couple minutes later, the tournament kicks off. And at first, Belly and Taylor are killing it. But then Taylor has an ankle injury, and I'm using air quotes for that one because she didn't really injure her ankle. She did it purposely so that Belly would have to have Jeremiah as a teammate. And it works, at least at first. Jeremiah and Belly pick up right where Taylor and Belly left off. They continue to steamroll the competition until they come across these wannabe professional volleyball players, and they are getting hammered. At one point, they're down 17-7, and Belly makes the call to replace Jeremiah with Conrad because she really, really needs to win this tournament. And with Conrad's help, she does. Susanna runs up to the both of them. She's got the trophy in hand. She's really excited because that's the team she wanted to win. And she makes mention that the two make a really good team together. But then she turns to Conrad and says, Did you ask her yet? And Belly says, ask me what? And Susanna says, to be your escort for the ball. I told him he had to ask you since it was taking you so long to decide. And Belly is crushed. She thought that Conrad asked her because he wanted to ask her, and not because he was being guilted by his mom. So while she puts on a strong face, she's definitely hurt. But as she's leaving, Nicole invites her and Taylor to a party on her dad's boat, and Belly thinks that maybe that could be the distraction she needs to stop thinking about this whole fiasco. Later that day, as Taylor and Belly walk towards the boat, they start talking about the situation, about how Conrad has been forced to take her to the ball by his mom. And for Taylor, this is further proof about why she should be hooking up with Jeremiah and not be focusing on Conrad. In fact, she went so far as to make a Finsta regarding Belly and Jeremiah's relationship. It's called Go Team Jelly. It's a little uncomfortable that it already has 7 likes and it's been active for all of like an hour. Belly, however, is concerned that if she were to get in a relationship with Jeremiah, she would still have feelings for his brother. And Taylor says, look, a piece of me is always going to belong to Steven, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to allow myself to fall for somebody else. The girls then arrive at the boat, and it is a massive boat. But they aren't the only ones. You've got all the Deb girls except for Shayla. She's hanging out with Steven. And they start playing the game, put her finger down if you kissed a boy, put her finger down if you've done this. The thing is, every question that's being asked, Belly has 10 fingers still up. And some of them are kind of uncomfortable questions, like, have you ever had sex? Have you ever been to third base, second base? It's a little embarrassing for Belly. So Taylor, being a good friend, says, well, put a finger down if you've ever hooked up with Jeremiah Fisher. And all of a sudden, no one's focused on the fact that Belly has barely done anything. They're focused on the fact that Belly is hooking up with one of the hottest guys in Cousins. They immediately want all the details, but Belly says there's not really much to tell. They hooked up, and that's about it. They're really good friends. And Nicole admits that for a while she thought there was something between Belly and Conrad, but turns out she just had the wrong brother. The conversation then turns to skinny dipping, which is something that Belly definitely hasn't done. And there's that local lake that Cleveland took Laurel to, and it's well known, and all the girls head there. As Gigi is getting undressed with most of them already in the water, she hears somebody's phone go off, and she sees that it's Conrad texting, so she says, Nicole, Conrad's texting you right now. But when Nicole swims over, it wasn't her phone. It was Belly's phone. And she reads the message. And both Belly and Taylor don't even notice that all the girls are suddenly getting out of the water. They're taking Taylor and Belly's clothes, and they're getting in their car and they're leaving. They notice too late. And it comes just after a time where Taylor was telling Belly, yeah, I guess your friends are pretty cool. But then after this stunt, she's singing a much different tune. Belly, though, realizes why they left when she reads the text message from Conrad. Basically says, look, I didn't ask you because my mom was making me. I asked you because I wanted to take you. So while that's kind of exciting for Belly, they do need to figure out a way to get home because they now have no clothes. The good news for him is there's a boat tarp not too far away that they're going to cover themselves with and try to walk to civilization. As for Nicole, she heads to go to confront Conrad, who's at a massive party at Liam's house. Liam is the kid whose dad was running the poker game. Steven won him a bunch of money. Yeah, this kid's loaded. This party's an absolute rager. Conrad and Steven showed up together, but they quickly split off. Steven headed down to Liam's poker game, which did not go his way, and the money is ticking up for the buy-in. And Steven's quickly losing it. As for Conrad, he's kind of walking through this party in a trance because right before Steven did leave for that poker game, he mentioned how Shayla had a theory that Belly was hooking up with Jeremiah, which Steven just threw to the side. He didn't believe it. But for Conrad, a lot of that is starting to make sense. That's what actually prompted him to text Belly in the first place. He ends up running into Jeremiah at the party, who shows up late, but they don't breach the topic. Jeremiah actually asks him, have you noticed that Mom's been acting weird lately? She's been tired. It's weird. And Conrad brushes it to the side like it's no big deal, like it's normal. Their conversation breaks up when Nicole enters the house very angry, demanding to talk to Conrad in private, and she tells Conrad that she knows everything. She knows that she was lied to about the whole Belly situation. She saw the text. And she's upset because she had pushed off other advances from other guys as she was waiting for Conrad to figure out his crap, but it never happened, and she wasted all that time. He apologizes, owning up to everything, but she doesn't accept it. She just goes in the car, grabs Belly and Taylor's clothes, and hands it to him, saying, "Your friends are going to need this." That's when Conrad gets in his car to go find where Belly and Taylor are. But what he doesn't know is Belly had called up Jeremiah to do the same thing, pick them up. So they both arrive at the exact same time. The girls then quickly change, and Taylor gets in the car with Conrad, while Belly gets in the car with Jeremiah. Their car ride takes a little bit longer to get home, though, because they start hooking up, and Belly decides that the next time she plays Put a Finger Down, and they ask, "Have you gotten a second base?" she's going to be able to put a finger down, because she lets Jeremiah feel her up. Belly, though, gets home, she goes to bed, but she wakes up to a text message in the middle of the night, and it's from Conrad, asking her if she's awake. She goes downstairs and meets him outside, and he wants to apologize, but also he wants to give her the necklace that he bought for her. He's finally starting to realize that there's competition for Belly in this war. He's not the only option anymore. He doesn't want to lose her. He gets really close to kissing her, but she pulls back and says, "Sorry, it's too late. You had your chance." And then she just leaves him standing there alone. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.